Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bachelor post-show live chat with me, Bachelor Fantake. How's everyone doing tonight? We just finished watching the latest episode, and we are now on to hometowns. It is 5 episodes in, and we're on to hometowns. It feels like it's going by so fast, so fast. But I guess that's what we're doing. Shorter seasons. But before we get into everything that happened tonight, of course, gotta go over the stream rules for the stream. Number 1, please no posting any outright spoilers in the chat. Of course, we're gonna be doing some sleuthing here. We've been doing it all season. We'll be doing more of it tonight. Number 2, be kind to each other. And number 3, please don't anger YouTube or break community guidelines. Don't want them smiting the stream. This week, big pre-hometowns week. Yeah, I know. How the heck are we at hometowns? I don't know. Just shorter seasons. Pumping it down, it's a strange thing because it's so fast. It's I don't know if it's a chicken or the egg thing. If there's just, I don't know, they're trying to cut down episodes to fit in to a schedule or to keep interest because they don't want people getting bored too long. But I feel like we just don't get to know people as much. So it's like hometowns already. I feel like no one barely knows each other, and I don't know them. Hometowns next week, and so a big week here in Scotland, as Juliana and Latia got the one-on-ones, and there was a group date with more Carolina drama. So, basically, similar situation to last week. More Carolina drama, everyone getting upset at Carolina. Dina even getting upset at Carolina after, having that big love fest last week. Even Dina was against Carolina. And Maria Hernandez, good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. How many times are we going to see the Bachelors get slightly threatened by an Italian dad next week? Yeah, I know. I think the Italian dad will be threatening next week, but I think there's some potential editing. I never truly believe, unless they really show us something outrageous in the previews, these tough dad edits that we see in these hometown previews. I think it is a natural thing to see some of the dads be skeptical or a little bit tough, but most of the time they end up going, well, whatever, I can't give you approval, but I will trust my daughter, sort of thing. Oh yeah, first Maria, now Juliana. Carolina was doing the most to stay. Carolina, it was too much getting caught up in the drama. I think there's if your end game is to stay as long as possible in this thing, you got to recognize the game. And even if you feel like it's not fair, if everyone in the house is around you and these things keep happening, you got to find ways to shift it, because having Dina having previously Juliana coming to Grant, and everything is about Caroline, that just ruined her chances. Would she have gotten a hometown? Maybe. And normally I might have said probably not, but considering Zoe got a hometown, we knew Zoe was getting a hometown. We'd seen this. Zoe was the first person, in all the sleuthing we knew was getting a hometown from the first look season preview, if you've been following since then. But Zoe gets a hometown, hasn't had a one-on-one all season. I feel like maybe that's another reason. Like, it's shortened episodes. Like, I feel like we've had a few seasons that are shortened to, and we say this often, like, wow, it's hometowns already, but like, is this even shorter? Like, I'm like, what's like, I'm trying to think, because someone is getting a hometown without even having a one-on-one. Anyway, is that because of the shortened season? I don't know. But Zoe getting a one-on-one, I wasn't shocked because of the sleuthing, but otherwise I would have been. Because watching that episode, as I watched the episode for more and more, I realized Alex was very likely not getting a hometown because she just wasn't really involved in the edit of the show. The person who was Serafina. I was thinking Serafina wasn't going to get a hometown, because we had known that Juliana, Latia, which is also obvious, but Juliana and Latia were getting roses most likely. I mean, we knew from the sleuthing that they were, but just from vibes alone, you could pretty much guarantee they were going to get roses. And then Zoe was getting the third one, so that fourth one, who was it going to be? But Serafina filled in a lot of the edit this episode, which I'm guessing was mostly done with her actually not getting a rose. They edited her that way to try and like build suspense, build up her presence in the episodes, that it was more shocking when she went home. But Serafina one-on-one, Carolina one-on-one, went home. Zoe gets a hometown. Another interesting thing this episode as well was no roses being handed out on dates. We have seen pre-hometown episodes where on one-on-ones, like, well, you know what, I'm not going to say this as a fact, but I feel like pretty certain there have been ones where like exceptions have been made and someone said, I can't decide yet to give out a rose to you or not on a one-on-one before hometowns. Normally it's like you get a hometown if you get a rose on a one-on-one before hometowns, or you get the boot out of here. So there's usually some pressure. And historically it's very common for them to have like a bubble person who's, you know, like the make or break date, get the one-on-one before hometowns, and then they send them home so they have a dramatic exit, and then they have the person pull the luggage and everyone goes, oh, you know. But no roses this week. To, I guess, you know, for production it makes a more, you know, suspenseful rose ceremony, I guess, is the idea. But huge one-on-ones this week for multiple reasons. Huge one-on-one for Juliana, the Cinderella one-on-one at this the Scottish Hopetoun House, and very, very obvious shift in Grant with their relationship, in my eyes. I felt when they talked about, they sat down to talk about, you know, like every Bachelor one-on-one ever, there has to be some, you know, deeply personal, potentially traumatizing story that comes forward. And them connecting on, you know, the relationship she had with her father and the similar relationship he had with his father, or he has with his father. Like, it seemed like he really connected with her and thought of her in a very different way. Maybe it's been something that's been building, but certainly a different way than what I feel like I've seen watching this season so far. Because now I feel like the way he talked about her and reacted, I feel like, I mean, and the sleuthing has backed this up. We've seen like the Juliana, multiple hometowns in the final filming location means a potential likely final two situation going on there for her. But I feel like this is the first person who can contend with Latia in any way in this season, because otherwise I see nothing. To me, this is, at this point already, it's a two-person season. We might as well end the season. If they're gonna make it so short anyway, we might as well end it next week, because it's either Latia or Juliana, as I see it, barring some strange, wild circumstance that would happen at hometowns or fantasy suites. I don't know, but Dina then getting the fourth hometown spot with Zoe. It was funny, thinking about the sleuthing aspect of it, knowing that Zoe gets a hometown. The most climactic part of the rose ceremony for me was the third rose handed out, because it was Dina's rose, and I wasn't sure who was going to be that like fourth person. But when Dina got the third rose, I was like, oh well, I know Zoe. So it's like, okay, I know now what it is. But yes, the other Latia, Juliana getting roses, Dina, Zoe, and the other big thing this week, Latia opening up right before hometowns, right before Grant meets her family, saying she's a Mormon, which I thought maybe like Grant might have known earlier in some regard. I guess it was shared only in intro package stuff for her. But so that's going to be the big, I guess, thing. She is, up to this point, in my opinion, she's been the front runner, the number one. I think things shifted a bit with that Juliana date, but is this going to be a big deal for him? They both talked about their relationship with God. He talked about that, but there's there's a difference between and I guess the family will be a big factor too, how they talk and react and welcome him. I have a feeling that based on the preview and how little they showed of the family, that they'll probably be like, yeah, welcome, come on in. Otherwise they probably would have shown more dramatic footage if they came in and and were like, who is this guy? He's not Mormon. You don't this is a big deal for us that you're not dating someone who's Mormon already. But then we got the mid-season preview. Also, usually these mid-season previews much longer, much more jam-packed with stuff. They just showed more of the ending, where Grant can't decide right up to the last second between his final two, which, if we're talking about what we've been talking about in the last few minutes, is likely, I mean, in my opinion, it's Juliana and Latia. Like, how does Zoe, or even Dina, like, Dina's had a one-on-one, and it went well, but compared to Juliana and Latia, just, to me, it's not in the same league. But, can't decide. Maybe they'll show after hometowns or something. Maybe they'll show more. Well, I guess the fantasy suites will be coming up. Usually, after hometowns, what they do is they do that another split preview where they go. They talk about tell all and then fantasy suites in one. So we're not really even getting much of a mid-season preview this season as well. I don't know. Just kind of, it just, to me, the vibe is off. It's not entirely Grant or the cast even, which you might say, I think some people might say boring as well in comparison to other seasons. But, even just the way the season's been produced a bit. So, I mean, I don't know. They're changing things up, maybe. I mean, a different showrunner for Bachelor in Paradise. We don't have a Bachelorette season. Maybe they're shifting things, and maybe that's the way it needs to be. If they're gonna come at it fresh. So, who do I think will be the third person for the final three? Dina, probably. I don't know. Zoe, we know, the only reason I've not been surprised about Zoe getting a hometown is because we saw this in New York, where she's from, in the, very first preview. So, we know they don't just, randomly stop in New York one week, with the whole group of them, so I mean, it'd be pretty wild for someone to make it to fantasy, to have their first one-on-one be a fantasy suite. That would be an interesting one. But I think it's it's strangely, even sometimes, you sleuth and it's interesting, how is this going to happen? Where are we going to go? What direction is it going to be? Who's going to be where? What is the order of things? Maybe we know the 4 people getting a hometown, but we don't know who's getting a fantasy suite, or we know the 3 people who are getting a fantasy suite, but we don't know how things are going to go beyond that, or where things lie. To me, up to this point, even with the sleuthing in mind, it's just it's okay, hometowns and then fantasy suites. We know what's going to happen. Unless there's a shocking change, I really can't see Zoe coming up to the end, given the edit and the amount of time she's had with Grant thus far, especially in comparison to Latia or Juliana. And Dina, had a one-on-one, went well, and all, all these sort of things. But again, in comparison to the other 2, nothing. Juliana's stock sharply rose this week, but her edit has been consistent. The check-ins every episode. It's just the week before was just the Carolina drama, kind of messed with that a little bit, but mostly just up until now she's got her one-on-one because they edited it this way so that we can feel a rise with her story, and it's not as surprising when she's like, oh, you're getting a hometown. The only real story here is which of the 2, and is it going to be a religion thing, or what is it going to be that is the deciding factor? And is it Latia the whole way, but this, the Mormon thing is the big block in the road, even to the last 30 minutes, because he can't decide which is from the preview. So really, that is the only thing left in the season for me. Sadly, we've got, hometowns, and we've got fantasy suites, and I'm gonna watch, and I'm probably not gonna be crazy. Fantasy suites might give more information, but to me it's gonna be the only investment I have left in the show is the finale. So, did I see the Deadline article? I haven't. It has been wildly busy, in my household, covering Love is Blind. I've been focusing a little more on Love is Blind as well. And and it is Canadian winter. Canadian winter, I'm sure it's the same in all climates, or similar in all climates. Canadian winter with 2 toddlers means every other week someone is sick. Every other week someone has a cold or some sort of something. And once again, everyone in my house is sick. So, okay, yeah, there's chaos behind the scenes. Okay, I will read it. I will read it. I will read it. I wouldn't be surprised, given the history of like the way contestants talk about behind the scenes. Some things maybe things need a revamping in this franchise. Same formula has worked for a while, or somewhat worked. Let's like something spicy needs to happen. And by spicy, I don't like necessarily mean anything by that. Like, to me, the introduction of the Golden Bachelor, like, that was spicy. That was like something new and exciting and invigorating in the show and in the franchise. They need to do something just a little bit different. It can be this like the same essence, but something needs to happen. So, we'll see. We'll see what it is. But okay, it's time. Let's take a look at this preview. Let's look at this thing. I gotta say, I was a little, the hometown stuff pretty standard. But I was hoping for a little more juice for the end. But I don't know, a little disappointed, to be honest, with the preview as well. Like, I think people have said, like, the season, even the preview for like the weirdest niche person watching content of The Bachelor, even the previews this year are disappointing. Oh my god! All right, here we go. Let's take a look at this thing for next week on the show. Oh my god! Zoe's
hometown's week, and for me, this week is everything. I'm really happy. I'm falling for you.
So I guess technically this is her first one-on-one, but if she makes it, your first one-on-one is a hometown. But it's a weird date. Maybe if she makes it to a fantasy suite, we can say that's her real first one-on-one, which is just like what? And it'll be episode 8. It's episode 5 now. 6 for hometowns. They'll do a women tell-all, but sometimes they even mash it together. Please don't, Bachelor people. It's fine. Give us the extra week. Sometimes they do like the Monday Tuesday thing to try and make it quicker. Please don't. Just don't shorten it even more. So he's dating here.
For me,
Latia.
This week is everything. I'm really happy. I'm falling for you. Family is big to me because it's something that I feel like I've been missing. You seem really happy.
And I do think looking at some of this stuff, like they seem pretty welcoming. Grant talks about, I think in this preview, like how are they going to react to him, and this is the first time Latia's brought someone around or dated someone who wasn't Mormon as well. Could this be a deal breaker? They seem pretty chill, at least, general vibes about him and the situation. So I think maybe it won't be an issue, because if it was, they would probably pump up the preview with more drama. Instead, they focus on like Juliana's folks. But yeah, where were we?
I feel like I've been really happy. For me to propose to a woman,
I'm falling in love with you.
I have to feel comfortable.
The classic, the post group date, or post hometown, sit down on a bench. This is the time where you have to tell. It's in the script. Every season, this is the time where you have to tell the lead you're falling in love with them. At least. You can go further, you can say the full L word, but if you want a fantasy suite, this is what you have to do. Which tells me also that this date goes well. Latia would not be just doing this gushy I'm falling in love with you moment with Grant if the date was like the parents going, I don't know about this. You gotta date a Mormon person, blah, 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 blah. So this date will go well. There we go. We even get a nice look at this bench. This is what our sleuthing is all about, benches. Half the time, we're looking at benches. Big bench here. Big bench energy.
I have to feel comfortable around their family.
Oh my God. I think this man is my forever guy.
Juliana.
Did you just kiss my daughter?
You just kissed my daughter? There's just a part of me that really feels like this is a joke. Like he's pulling Grant's chain. Here, like this is not like I feel like he will be a serious, kind of tough dad, but this is him. He's gonna go like like gotcha sort of thing here. If not, well.
Did you just kiss my daughter? I'm gonna tell you that. We protect our own. I got a problem on my hands.
This is so potentially edited as well right here. Like, I got a problem on my hands. He could be saying so much here, like if you hurt my daughter, or if like different things, which is not quite the context of what it is. This guy who's just like gonna completely hate Grant no matter what. But
Yes.
Doesn't necessarily mean he's gonna be like happy and super into all this, but I don't know, that's my vibe. Oh, the dinner date's in Dina's dinner date, as in a pumpkin patch in Chicago, featured there. That's such I need to get on the local news feed for Bachelor sleuthing.
Than what I expected it to be.
Her family are just protective. They do not bring anyone into their family just because.
The family not buying in could be a make or break situation.
I'd like to give him a chance, but I am skeptical.
This all seems pretty normal. I know, like, we've got the tear down here. Pretty standard Bachelor hometown stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary here. It seems pretty standard. Parents who are gonna, be skeptical of the process, especially with how fast it's been. Like, they said this episode, he said, like, oh, it's been a couple weeks that Latia and Grant have, been dating. And yeah, I mean, it's been it's episode 5 of the show. But, pretty standard stuff. Usually they end up saying, maybe they say, I don't know if I can give you the blessing, but I'll do whatever. Like, if my daughter trusts you, I trust my daughter. Usually the way it goes.
You are the first person that I'll bring home that's not in our same religion.
I'm not Mormon. I have tattoos. I wear earrings. I do drink sometimes, so... will they accept me?
I don't know. Like, what is this? What is this? I want to know what this cutout is. That's what I want to know. I don't know. General vibe is that this is gonna go well. They'll accept him. I mean, we know she gets a fantasy suite. We've seen it in previews. So I kind of imagine that the most likely elimination is Zoe, but does it matter even? I just think it's a two-person game. So, but the Mormon thing could be the deciding factor more at the very end.
Still to come, this...
And you know, people seem generally happy. I guess we'll see what happens when he sits down with the parents. That'll be more of the big thing, but...
Still to come this season.
I have to make a decision on who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. This is a chance for me to start a family of my own.
And look, we've got like 30 seconds of bonus footage. You know, I want to see a little more of like dates at the end, a little something to grab onto. This is what we get. It's just Grant, more of Grant, undecided.
I love both of these
but we get Neil Lane. Thanks.
women equally, but I could only choose one.
Listen, go with your hearts.
Which, like, sometimes does show us stuff like, oh, he makes it to a point where he is deciding to pick out a ring. Like, so you can infer information on that. But nothing new, because we know, like, from all the, like, ending preview stuff, we know, like, he makes it to the final rose ceremony with 2 people. So it's like, it's not... wrong button. Nothing shocking or exciting. It's just, you know,
Equally
disappointing in that way.
But I could only choose one.
Listen, go with your heart, son. You have to make sure it's right for you.
Stabbed.
I went to bed last night thinking I knew what I wanted.
From a final last chance date.
But I woke up and I realized that I still don't.
Undecided Grant. That's the finale.
And here's the thing, both women are on their way here right now.
Gotta be, like, real comforting to watch this if you are currently engaged to Grant.
You really need to know which one to send first. You feel like you know what you want to do?
The truth is, I don't know.
Oh, Grant. Hopefully they give us some juice at the women tell-all or something, or after the next hometowns episode, because not a lot of juice there, just a lot of the same. I mean, you know, I'll do a preview breakdown which will go over stuff, but yeah, I don't know. A little bit of the old Bachelor magic. Maybe not there, but you know, if we're talking about the outlook of the season, you know, I think it's all about these final two, and we can pretty confidently guess who those 2 are going to be. I mean, I think this also really, really tells us, because, like, Latia is the front runner, as I see it, but we have 2 date shots with Juliana, which almost always means one of these is for the fantasy suite date, and then one of these is for the last chance date. Because they have, once it gets to final 3, they've essentially 3 times where they meet with the lead fantasy suites. Then in the final 2, they meet Grant's folks, and then a last chance date before the final rose ceremony. So this kind of guarantees Juliana in the end, and then Latia, just by virtue of being Latia, guarantees. I mean, in comparison to Dina or potentially Zoe even. So it's all about the 2 that Grant can't decide. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I'll be invested in checking out the finale and seeing what happens, but it's kind of hard to go, like, okay, hometowns next week. We'll see how it goes with the, you know, Latia family visit and this potentially grumpy dad. But it's kind of, yeah, like if they're just gonna rush the season, well, then let's just get to the end, you know. It could, you know, it could be many factors. It could be the cast as well, but it's hard to feel invested in Grant's journey when I'm just kind of reeling at how fast it's gone. Like, how am I supposed to buy into, you know, a true love story when, like, I feel like how much time have they even had together? Which I know part of the show is that it's an expedited, really fast process, but even still, you know, I mean, like, Zoe hasn't even had a one-on-one, and she's got a hometown. So, anyways, maybe this they came off of this season. Maybe there's this background, you know, behind the scenes stuff, crew stuff. Maybe there's, you know, they look at this and they kind of just went, you know what, we're gonna take a break from Bachelorette this year. So, give us some juice and invest in stories. Best seasons are a double header of drama and people we actually care about. Because when we care about the stories of people, and it's not just a template that they fit into, like even even the one-on-ones, like it's predictable how the one-on-ones go. We go on a date, it most likely it's going to go well, then we sit down for dinner and you tell a traumatic story. And it can be very touching, and it can be very, like, you know, or thought-provoking or important, but predictable. It's like, okay, here we go. So I don't know, needs a little I think on the production end of things. So we'll see. I'm gonna naively keep my hopes up for Paradise because they're bringing it back. They had a year break, and there's a new showrunner. I think they're trying to do new things with Paradise, or my hope is that's the case, to try and match some of the excitement of other similar shows like Love Island. So we'll see. But that's going to be it for the stream tonight. Thank you all for joining me, for chatting, super chat, and everything. I got to get back into the the sick kiddo world, and hopefully it's an okay night. And get into recap the episode for tomorrow, and then there will be a preview breakdown, and then there's more Love is Blind coming out as well. So there is a lot at this time. So we'll eat it all up, feast it all up, because after March will be, there's always stuff to cover. But no Bachelorette. So, feast it up now. Thank you all for joining me again, and even y'all who've been lurking. We'll be back at it next week for Hometowns, where Italian Dad is bringing the heat. And Grant becomes a Mormon. Bet on it. So, thank you again, everybody. Have a wonderful night, and until next time, Bachelor Fantake out.